Near record rainfall brings floods and damage to many parts of Texas.
And one night I lost my apartment and my car. That was my dream apartment. I didn't even get to have a housewarming party.
The rain comes at a time when Texas faces a serious drought, but did that rain make much of a difference? We look at the long-term impact on farmers, ranchers, and those facing water shortages. A search for solutions to keep teachers from leaving the classroom, the next steps for the state's teacher vacancy task force, and how their work aims to make a difference. Frustrations over the state's unclaimed money program.
You know, this isn't about the money. My sister's gone through paperwork and doing what the people asked her to do.
We investigate the holdup that's keeping one Texas family from getting their share.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin in for Josh Hinkle. Record-setting rainfall Monday brought floods and damage to many parts of Texas. North Texas saw some of the worst effects from the storm. On Tuesday, Governor Abbott went to Dallas where he signed a disaster declaration for 23 counties affected by the severe weather. We saw dramatic images from the Dallas area. Flash floods put busy roads underwater, trapping drivers. Some had to swim for safety, others saved by rescue teams. A 60-year-old woman, a rideshare driver, died on a flooded road.
Should I call 911? What do I do?
And floods also damaged homes in North Texas. Brittany Taylor took this video after she woke up to water pouring into her Dallas apartment. Taylor told us the damage will likely cost her tens of thousands of dollars.
So I actually just moved into that apartment. I was there for not even 2 days. And one night I lost my apartment and my car. That was my dream apartment. I didn't even get to have a housewarming party.
And Taylor's home was one of at least 100 damaged across the state on Monday. Some parts of the DFW area had up to 15 inches of rain in a 6-hour time span. That is a lot of rain, and it comes at a time when Texas is facing a serious drought. But did that rain make much of a dent in that drought? Meteorologist David Yeomans joins us now for some insight. David, how much of a difference are we seeing after these rains?
Daniel, overall the drought is not fixed by far, but we are seeing some measurable and significant improvements. You mentioned the incredible 1,000-year rainfall that fell up in the Dallas area. Other parts of the state seeing their heaviest rain in at least 6.5 months, 5 times their normal rainfall just over the past week. Now, last week's Drought Monitor shows pretty widespread, severe, extreme, even exceptional drought, but let's keep an eye together. And this is the improvement that we saw this week. Much of the state still in bad drought conditions, but certainly not as bad as it was.
And David, what about the longer term outlook? Did this week's rain mark any start of maybe a drought busting trend?
Absolutely. Even with La Nina conditions certainly still in place, which can typically lead to warmer, drier weather than normal here at home, we are seeing consistent signs of wetter than normal weather, not only for the next week, not only for the next 2 weeks through the start of September, but all the way into the beginning of fall. Signs are in our favor for continued slow, steady drought improvement through at least November 30th.
All right, meteorologist David Yeomans, thank you so much for that insight. And the recent rain is good news for farmers and ranchers, but it might not reverse damage already done to their crops and cattle. Mercedes Hernandez spoke with a farm and ranch owner in Williamson County on what these drops mean and the long-term impact of this drought.
We had a great year last year. Can't complain at all. This year, for the birds.
After a crippling dry growing season, farmer and rancher Deborah Haida says recent rain has been a relief.
We're just grinning like ear to ear, like this is fantastic.
While the rain is welcome, Haida says this latest downpour is too late to save some of her crops.
Our cotton, we won't even have to strip. It didn't bloom, it didn't get rain.
County Ag Extension Agent Kate Whitney says she's noticed similar stunted patterns in other plants.
Been starting to see over the last few weeks trees that are either going dormant or maybe even dying.
Haida says the drought combined with inflation has also led to ranchers selling off cattle, an issue that could have a ripple effect.
It's going to be a 3-year hit on this industry. It's when you sell off mamas, babies, pregnant mamas, you can't get those back into the market. Beef could get more expensive.
Despite these challenges, Haida says she's optimistic that more rain will come and maybe next season will be better.
Can't get in the doom and gloom of the drought. It'll really take you down in this industry. Having been through them before, we think if you can get a 2-inch rain in August, that's a great sign.
In Williamson County, Mercedes Hernandez, State of Texas.
And the drought has taken a particular toll on Texas rice farmers. Lake levels dropped during the dry conditions, triggering restrictions on the amount of water available for their crops. Jayla Washington looks closer at the restrictions and the effect on these farmers.
It is just one step at a time for rice farmer Tim Gertson near the Houston area. That's his mentality, because you never know what a day out on the fields will bring.
As droughts worsen and get more intense, the consequences for rice farming, it starts to be more of demand on that natural resource, on water.
The Lower Colorado River Authority, or LCRA, cut farmers in its supply areas off this season on July 1st. It's simply following its water management plan to help with the preservation of water.
What happens when we get cut off for our second crop water is we're unable to grow the portion of our crop that we can grow the most efficiently and the most profitable. The consequence to me personally is around the tune of $150,000 to $200,000 in lost profit.
So as you can see, they are chopping down their first crop of rice, which is in fairly good condition from what my friend Ralph here tells me. But still, this season there has not been enough rain and there's just not enough water.
This is second crop rice that's growing right now, but this field doesn't have any water for second crop. So this is gonna die.
Now, luckily for Gertson, he does get some of his water from a well on his property to help grow crops, but that's not always enough to get the job done, and it isn't something that's sustainable for all farmers since building a well is so expensive. Now, as Gertson tries to figure out how to use less water to grow his crop, he grapples with the reality that there are other things that will make his job much harder.
We don't have extra water. We're already having to fight over it. To bring new businesses into a state that's already struggling, I think is really irresponsible.
Jayla Washington, State of Texas.
And the ongoing drought puts new importance on the long-term outlook of our state's water supply. State lawmakers met last week at the Capitol to look at ways to meet the growing demand. As Maggie Glenn shows us, it comes at a time when Texans who rely on well water face new worries.
Kathy Coyle and her husband,
Chickens! Anybody got me any eggs today?
and their 10 chickens and 3 dogs have depended on their well for water since they moved in.
We've been here 11 years and we've never had a problem.
Tuesday, the well went dry for the first time.
It's empty.
They have to get a water delivery to refill their tank, relying on their nearby in-laws for now.
We should go twice a week over their house to shower and to wash hair and laundry and get potable water.
Kathy's hoping lawmakers do something to help, whether that be curbing development or having a plan to distribute water to neighbors like her.
They just put in a cement plant over here that uses an incredible amount of water on a daily basis.
Jennifer Walker with the National Wildlife Federation is asking lawmakers to consider fixing existing systems to utilize water that's going to waste now. Their study showed utilities in Texas lost 572,000 acre-feet of water in 2020 alone.
It's equal to the 2020 water demand of the cities of Austin, Fort Worth, El Paso, Lubbock, and Laredo combined.
The Federation projects if the state did update decades-old piping, we could be saving more than half of that water.
Investing in programs like acoustic leak detection and repair, small and large meter replacements so that we're measuring water accurately, advanced pressure management.
With this summer's drought and more extreme conditions expected with climate change, Walker says she's heard plenty of stories like Kathy's just this summer, showing the need to address our water supply now.
I can't believe we ran out of water.
Maggie Glenn for State of Texas.
The battle over abortion rights looming large as an issue for Texas voters.
I'll make sure that doctors can continue saving lives without risking prison or losing their medical license.
The steps some candidates are taking now to get voters to the polls in November. There's new work underway to help Texas keep teachers in the classroom, how a task force meeting now aims to make a difference. And the state is holding more than $6 billion, and some of it could be yours. But one Texas family found it's not always easy to get your share. We dig into frustrations over the state's unclaimed money program.